Welcome everyone to our SEDA, IBASA and EPI webinar. This is a monthly event that we have as a CPD, Continuous Professional Development. Today in the room we've got Carien Taute from the Hoedspruit Hub. Carien, if you can switch on your camera, please, then we can let everyone see you too. Good morning, Carien. Nice to have you here. I'll just make sure that we are spotlighting you so that everyone can see you. Hoedspruit Hub, what is that about?
Hoedspruit Hub is a rural training center focusing on commercial agriculture, but also startup agriculture, and then also on small businesses in the area surrounding Hoedspruit.
Yeah, great. So we're going to jump into a topic specifically because Hoedspruit is there right in the rural areas, and the kind of principles that you've started applying, the work that you do to make sure that you can serve the specific needs of your customers in that space, agricultural, township, and other rural-based small businesses. You know, so that's the theme of our discussion here. And Carien is, by the way, a qualified project manager. I'm not sure what the qualifications that you have, Carien, but also you did a master's in coaching, so you combine those two quite well in the way that you do things. And I'm really looking forward to learn from you today. I've seen some of the slides that you're going to share, and there's also a promise for some resource. But before we get to that, let's go to a poll quickly. So chance for everyone to participate. If you don't see the poll coming up on your screen now, you should. It may be hidden behind another window, or if you're on your phone, you may have to swipe just to see the poll. There are 3 questions there. The first is, how are you supporting small business owners? You know, are you a consultant, an advisor, a mentor, a coach, a trainer, a financier, a manager of programs in government or not in non-government? Another way. And then the second question that we have is, which areas do you cover in your support? Are you city-based small business owners, focusing on them, township-based small business owners, rural-based small business owners, others not listed here, or not supporting small businesses at all? And then our third question is, which statement best describes your approach to supporting your small business clients? And there you can choose the one that best describes it. May not 100% describe it, but best describes it. You can only select one in this case. I have a very powerful set of tools I use with all my clients. I assess each situation and adjust to the context. I stick to being a professional in my specific field of expertise. I'm not sure how to describe my approach. I'm not supporting small business clients, or none of the above. Okay, so if you I see people are voting, you need to answer all 3 before you submit. We've got a few people that have responded. By the way, we're a good number of people in the room. We're probably going to be over 70 soon, you know, so that's great to know that there's interest from practitioners to empower themselves to offer better services to their clients. So, Carien, can you see the poll or not yet?
Yes, I can. I'm busy.
So it's interesting to see as people are voting. So you can still vote. Only a third have voted. So please do participate in the poll. It gives us a sense of who's in the room. But it looks like consulting is dominant, along with advising and mentoring. Some people are coaching and facilitating and so on. There are a few managers of programs in the room. And then city-based small business owners and rural-based small business owners are getting kind of equal attention, you know, so that is kind of interesting, you know, that we shouldn't assume always. Perhaps the topic attracted people that are specifically also focusing on businesses in rural areas. And then let's see how the last one evolves. So people can still vote. It is great to see who is in the room. So we're not going to keep it open for much longer. So if you want to vote, please do so. If you can't find the screen, just close a window or 2. It may be hidden somewhere there amongst the things that you are having on your desktop. Okay, so again, we'll give it another second or 2, and then we're going to stop the poll. And there we've got the results that you should be able to see on your screen now. And that's kind of interesting, Carien. I'm specifically impressed that we have been able to attract people that are working in the rural areas. So there's kind of an equal amount of people that are focusing on urban and rural small businesses. So value for everyone, of course, because what we are going to cover in the theme is not limited to small businesses only. Okay, enough of getting us going and started. Please remember to use the text chat to comment or to ask a question. If you have a question, you don't have to wait till the end to put a question in there. In fact, we can have a discussion going amongst the attendees in the text chat. No need to wait till the end to ask your questions. But with that said, Carien, you've got an important resource to share with people too. Are we going to use it while we're in the breakaways or not necessarily?
Yes, I think you can. I am going to show some of it in my presentation as well, but then, yeah, it will be needed in the breakaway. So I think you can share it with them then. Okay, so we've got in the text chat that link. You can click on that link and you'll be able to download the template that we're going to use in the breakaways. If you have a phone or work on a phone and you can snap the code there, the QR code, you can also get the document in that way. So anyone having trouble, just indicate to us, please. But the link is there in the text chat for you to click on. And if you click on that, you should be able to see the template that comes up. We're not going to focus on the template immediately, but if you can download it now, then you'll have it ready by the time that we are focusing on that. But let's not waste more time on other stuff, Carien. Let's delve into what you want to offer us today. Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. As Christoph already said, I'm Carien Taute, and I'm going to tell you a bit more on how I support small business owners in rural areas. As Christoph said, I've got a master's in management coaching from Stellenbosch Business School, and Christoph, my project management is a postgrad from University of Cape Town. So let's start. Okay, the content that we're going to cover today is a bit about what exactly is a small business, because I'm not always sure if we know exactly how big a small business can be. And then I want to share my key small business toolbox with you. There's 6 tools in that, and I will quickly go into each of them and give you a bit of insight about how I'm approaching my work. Next slide, please. Okay, what is a small business? Basically, very interesting, whether it's rural, agri, township, anywhere else. In the South African context, small business is any business with one or more of the following: fewer than 200 employees, the annual turnover of less than 64 million, capital assets of less than 10 million, and owner managed. So that makes the market for small business practitioners quite big. So how can these small business owners be assisted? Next slide. Okay, the KISS principle, I just want to clear that. That's the acronym for keep it simple and stupid. The KISS principle states that most systems work better if you keep it simple rather than complicated. Therefore, simplicity should be the key goal in design, and unnecessary complexity should be avoided. And I think it's very true in small business owner support as well. Next. Okay, just quickly going over my key small business toolbox and what we're going to cover today. Tool 1 is problem solving, and then building relationships, coaching, skills assessments, training and development of skills, and then project management, and then experiential learning. Why that is so important for me, and that's the reason for the breakaways as well. There's a 70-20-10 principle of learning that say we learn 70% in the workplace, 20% from coaches and mentors, and 10% in classrooms. Okay, I always start with problem solving. To me, that is key to everything. If you can solve a problem, you can almost get yourself out of any trouble that comes your way. And there's a few simple steps on how you can solve problems. The first is to understand the problem. Is the problem really what you think it is, or is it maybe something else? What are the options to solve this problem? And then I usually ask my clients for at least 5 or 6 options. And then we look at the different options. What's the best option to solve this problem? Then we implement it, and after it was implemented, we evaluate to see if this solution that we implemented indeed solved the problem. And if the outcome is not as expected, then we review we restart the process, because maybe we didn't understand the problem, maybe we didn't choose the best solution. So this is a cyclic process, and it can always be started again. Okay, next, please. Okay, building relationships is at the heart of working in rural communities. It takes time, but it is so important. The strength of communities lies in the strengths of the connections that we have with each other. Strong connections give people the power to make real change, powerful change. And building connections takes time, that is true, but it's worth it. There's many ways to build relationships. And when I say that I use assessments, that doesn't mean that conversations can't give you the same information. Assessments is just a different and a tool that one can use, and it also saves a bit of time. Next. The tools that I usually use or find very helpful is firstly the Gallup Strength Finder that identify natural talents to assist in better performance, stronger relationships, and personal growth. And there is a link to the top, to where you can get the top 5 personal strengths, and it comes at a cost. There's also I3 profiling, which focus on individuality and not conformity. Every output shows potential of the individual rather than how they fit in a box, because everybody is different and everybody have different strengths and different ideas. The link is there as well as the cost. And then Christoph introduced me the other day to a test, the vitality test, which I never used before, but I looked at it and it looks very interesting. And it's 100% free, and it comes with a comprehensive and a full report. So that is definitely something that one can consider as well. Next, please. Okay, in understanding your market, it is very important to distinguish between hunters and farmers in small businesses, where your farmers is usually those clients who cultivate their existing relationships, seek opportunities within their existing clients, while the farmers, the hunters on the other side, are the people constantly prospecting and seeking for new opportunities. It's also the guys who will start who are doing startups and then sell it on to somebody who's more a farmer type of person. The third tool that I use is coaching, and I use the growth model. As a management coach, I help my clients with clarifying their business vision for the business and help them to align it with personal goals, because I find that that is very important to keep them motivated. I also help them to understand what the impact of their business vision and personal goals is going to be on their life. And then it is also very important for them to distinguish between tasks and long-term objectives in their vision. And next, please. Okay, this is basically just a picture of what goal the growth model looks like. We have a goal, the reality, options, and the way forward. And as a goal, I help my clients to set a goal, and then they must distinguish between long-term goals and short-term goals, and also see what the key results is, because that is that I want to see, because that is a way for them to measure themselves as well. Then in reality, we look at the positives and negatives of this goal that is set. And in options is, how are we going to do this? What must we stop doing? What must we start doing? What must we do less of? What must we do more of? Grow is a very simple coaching model, but it's very effective. And then in the way forward, we say, what actions do I need to take to get to my goal? And by when, and who must do what? And it is in this way forward where project management principles come to play. Next, please. No, one back, please. 2, 4. Yeah, there you go. Okay, what is very important as well, now we established a relationship, we've got a coaching relationship, we understand our client better from the assessments that we did, we've got a way of solving his problems, but it's very important to know what skills gaps there are. For that, I use the circular application to assess my clients' business skills. For soft skills and project management gaps, I address it through coaching and through my relationship with them. And then if they have specific hard skill gaps, it can be addressed online, such as peer-reviewed articles, and I send them links and they can read it. But there's also a lot of free of charge online learning available nowadays. Oxford Home Study is one of them, but there's a lot of them. Okay, if a client prefers the classroom environment, I will of course refer them to the Hoedspruit Hub, not only if they are in the Hoedspruit area, also wider. Hoedspruit Hub, as I already said, is a training center working in the area, and they have a vision to be a center of excellence to support smallholder agriculture and community small businesses to become environmental and socially good. They take an enriched training approach using additional teaching and learning aids to make learning fun, because they've found that if learning is fun, people come back and people love to learn. The Hub is my client, basically, and I'm involved with him since their inception as a small business. And there is a website link to them as well. Next. Okay, so why is project management then a tool? Basically, like I said before, into one problem solving, the solution that we have to be implemented and evaluated. What is going to be done by whom and by when. It's also part of the growth coaching model. And just to differentiate between operations and projects, operations is more your day-to-day, while projects is a temporary piece of work who falls outside business as usual day-to-day operations. And it can be anything. It can be to start a new business, to move a shop, do market research, or anything else. There's quite a few of the small businesses that I'm involved in that are entirely running as projects. So you will ask me now, but how? And basic project management skills could significantly help owners of startups and small businesses to set goals, to set the strategy, to devising a plan and outlining actions, and then weekly prioritizing their actions through to completion. Also, the risk register that we are going to do later in the breakaway rooms is a very important part of project management. Okay, next, please. Yeah, as I already explained, the importance of experiential learning in the workplace. So I'm going to set a problem now, project task, and I'm going to take you through the first two templates, and then I'm going to leave you to do the last one on your own and see how you're doing. Okay, this little business had a problem with their cash flow short term. They realized it was because of the crops that they planted take some time. It's a citrus area here, so it takes quite some time before there's a profit. So in the end, they decided to start farming chickens. That's very popular in this area, to increase the business cash flow, but to evaluate whether this option will really solve the cash flow problem, you will need to do market research to see if there's a market for chickens in the area where your business is. The project must start on Monday, this coming Monday, the 15th, and be completed by the 19th of November, which is next Friday. And the job is to write a project plan to implement this project. Okay, next slide, please.
Carien, if we can just pause there for a moment, just for everyone to note. So the breakaway activity that we're going to do in small groups soon is going to be based on this task. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. That's correct, yeah. It's going to be a risk register.
Yeah, so it's important for us to focus on this case that we are, because it's a practical one for us to take those 6 tools that Carien has referred to into a real situation, sort of, and the next real situation that you can take it into is your own clients. But today we're going to do a case study of the chicken farming as an example. So just to make sure that everyone is on the same page here, so stay with us. There's a process, and Carien, a really systemized process, I must say, that's easy to use. So that KISS principle that you spoke about earlier, we can see in that. So let's take out our pens and paper and note down, because we're going to be discussing it in the breakaways.
Thank you, Crystal. Okay, so if you quickly, let's give all of you just a minute to quickly read through this again. Okay, there. How are we going to develop this project plan now? The project plan to do research to see if chicken farming is going to solve our short-term cash flow problem. Okay, the first step, okay, project plans can be very complex. This is a KISS project plan. It is a simple plan to use on a day-to-day basis or whenever it is needed. The first thing that we're going to do is to write a breakdown schedule. It shows the tasks that we need to do and think the project through. And then it is always necessary to have a budget. We're not going to look at it today because I think all of you know everything there is to know about the budget. And then we must also create a time schedule or a Gantt chart. And the thing that we are going to do in the breakaway rooms is identify the risks for this project and create a risk register. Okay, next thing that we are going to look at is the work breakdown schedule. Please, Crystal. Okay, the important things before we can do that is to determine and describe the project statement. The project statement is basically what are we going to do? We are going to do research to see if chicken farming in an area around the business is viable. We highlight the phases of the project and create a list of deliverables, and then we divide it in manageable tasks. Next one, please. Okay, now it's getting important to focus on what we're going to do, although you will receive this information in the templates as well. Okay, we divide this project in planning, executing, communications, management control, and close. So in the planning area, we just look at things that we need to plan, and there's no real right or wrong. So in planning, one must also always start with a briefing, because if you don't have a proper briefing, how are you going to know exactly what is necessary? You also always need a budget, because you must know what it's going to cost and what is available. And then in this instance, we need to plan the research as well. Then from there on, once we did the planning, we can go into execution. We finalize questions, we appoint a team, whatever is necessary to start execute. But throughout the project, we must communicate. We must talk to the business owner, the researchers, to the person who's holding the purse. And then, of course, we can't just give it out to everybody, delegate, and then sit back. We must manage and control. We must make sure that the transport is working, the refreshments are there, everybody's on time, in budget. And then lastly, we close the project. That is where we're writing the report, we pay all outstanding accounts, and very, very important, make a list of lessons learned. Because next time when we do a research project, we will firstly go back to the lessons that we've learned this time so that we don't make the same mistakes. Okay, next one. Okay, this is now the chart or the time schedule. Basically, we take everything that was in the previous slide, the different tasks, and we put it here where it was horizontal there, we put it vertical here, and then we take every task, and let's take budget. Okay, 1.2. Budget is a task, but it also has subtasks. What do we need to budget for? We need to budget for transport. We need to budget for whatever else. And then time. How long is it going to take me to do this? When am I going to start? We're not going to start with everything on the 15th and finish on the Friday. Some things, the briefing is just the hour meeting or 2 hours meeting on the 15th. The budget maybe also, but then the transport is going to be on another day, and it's going to be 2 or 3 days. And then like that P or PRED is for predecessor. We can't do a budget if the briefing wasn't done first, because then we wouldn't know what to budget for. We must assign every task to somebody. In this instance, for budget, it's to finance. The resource that we need is money. And then we mark D1 to 5 is Monday to Friday. We mark how many days we're going to work on this. Okay, next. Okay, then when we're looking back on the two things, the two templates that we already done, there's serious risks to any project, to any business. There's always risks, and it's always better to be forewarned. So we create a risk register, and even when you don't do a project, it is always a very good idea to have a risk register and to revisit it at least weekly. We identify risk. A risk is something that can be a disruption to your business, and that is not always negative. A risk can also be, or an opportunity can also disrupt your project or your business, because you must take the opportunity. But okay, that's just on the side. We're not going to work with it today. So, and then we are going to look at determine the likelihood that the risk will happen and the impact it's going to have on your project or your business. then how are you going to respond on this? And then usually we put an estimate time in. This time we don't, because it's only a week. We assign an owner and we review it. Christoph, the next. And this is now the template that you are going to work on in the work breakaway. Sorry, yes. Risk register always have, or a risk always have an ID, because you must be able to refer back to it. I don't want to say which, that risk, you know that one. I say ID 1. The risk was raised on the day that it was identified. In this instance, we say there is going to be a possible strike on the 18th of November. What is the chance that it's going to happen? Well, it's just stories at this stage. It's not certain, but the impact of it on the project is a red. It's very, very, it can be very disruptive to the project. Okay, we give our owner, Nelson, is responsible to keep his ear on the ground and let us know if anything further happens. And then mitigation, we can move the date, or we can do more cell phone research, or whatever else we can do so that this to mitigate the impact on the project. And what I want you to do now is to use the information that you have on this project, and then in this risk register, you identify 5 other risks. If you have the time to do it, if you can do more, it will be great, but 5 other risks, and you write a risk register for this project. Christoph, over to you, please.
Yeah, so Carien, let's just step through it with your help. So we've got the project plan, and then
yes,
we do the work breakdown schedule. So in the case of the, so this would be a real case of people that you work with in Hoogspruit, starting a chicken farm. So you can perhaps help us by making it a bit more real, by just explaining to the context, you know, sort of. So if we take it step by step, you know, sort of. So first, in terms of the breakdown schedule, you know, sort of what would be the issues to consider there?
The hitches is something like a strike. It can be that the budget that you had available and is too small for the idea that you have. It can also be that nowadays with digital contact that you have with people, maybe you're not considering all the ways in which you can do the research. Maybe you can not ask the correct research questions, because what do you want to know? You don't want to necessarily know if people eat chicken meat, but you would maybe want to know, where do you buy your chickens? Are we closer to you, and at what price do you buy? Or can we still make a profit if we need to compete with the competitors? It's things like that.
So when it comes to the work breakdown schedule, you know, sort of what would be the typical activities, the deliverables, I think you call it, that you want to address?
If you go on one slide, we can quickly go through it. Yeah, there it is. You must first have a briefing. You must budget. You must think about your research.
Yeah, but for the chicken farm now.
Yeah, this is for the chicken farm because you want to do research. So the researchers must be briefed about what kind of research do you want to do. The financial person, if it's not the owner himself, needs to be briefed on what is necessary for this. You need research teams, you need transport, you need food for people, things like that.
You actually break it down into quite a level of detail there.
Exactly. Okay. And that is what happened in the next slide. This is just the overview. And in this slide, under subtasks, you break down every line item that is in the work breakdown structure. You break it down in all the detail, as many detail, there's never, as I said, there's not a right and a wrong way. Under budget, I would put in transport, I would put in fees for the researchers, I would put in food, I would put in printing, I would put in data for people who's going to, rather than speak to people, maybe do Facebook or SMS research. So things like that.
Yeah. And then that brings us to the risk register, which is what we will be doing now.
Yes. So yeah, there you look at what can be risks, what can put this research project on risk. So yes, a strike can put it on risk. Money can put it on risk. It can be that you can't find enough researchers available that is willing to go out and speak to people. It can also be load shedding, because here where we live, now that we have load shedding, a lot of the time we don't have a cell phone signal because the batteries at the cell phone towers are not working properly, or you don't have access. There's lots of reasons why you might not have access to internet. So that is typically the kind of risks that I would predict.
Right. So we're going to do that in the breakaways. If you want to get the template, you can either scan it there with a QR scanner with your phone and download the template, or we did paste the link quite a while back. Let's find it quickly here, then we can paste it again. You can type in the text chat from your discussion what you learned about project planning and risk mitigation in the text chat. So open the text chat, click on it. If someone wants to speak, you can actually raise your hand too. We'll be able to bring you into the room. But let's start, Carien. From that practical chicken farming perspective, are there things that you've learned in working with those clients that we can kick off the discussion, and then we can get comments in the text chat? So please open the text chat. And I see some people had some difficulties, some latecomers that came into the discussion late and so on too. David, I see you've got your camera open. You need to unmute to speak. I'll unmute you. David, what did you learn from the discussion on project planning and risk mitigation, specifically as it perhaps relate to rural and agricultural clients?
From the discussion, I learned that there need to be research, and in the discussion that I had with Carien now, we have identified the risks of a chicken farm as risk of weather, like the rain and the cold weather can be risky to the chickens because in the cold weather there could be chicken flu, the bird flu, and then also the risk of electricity, the load shedding and the electricity cut, the blackouts can be very risky with the in case of chicken farm, because you must keep the temperatures at a particular level, especially if you've got a egg-laying chicken. They need to be in a particular under a particular environment in terms of temperature. And is that and the weather and the what and what? Yeah, he mentioned the strikes, but the strikes don't. He said sexy strikes are not a view. The strikes need to be related to the industry, to the farm, like wage strikes, and other things like this.
Yeah, so it's been useful to, in that framework, to identify what are the things that can possibly go wrong so that we can start planning around resolving them before they end the whole business. And Ntombi Zanele, do you want to come in too? Ntombi, if you can switch on your camera, we can see you too. You've raised your hand.
Can I not switch on my camera, please?
We won't force you to do so, but you can speak.
I can speak.
Yes.
Yes. When we are talking about the risks, really, I should think there will be much problems with the poultry farming. Yes, the gentleman has spoken about the weather conditions, and then also the ongoing strikes as we are in this situation. So what if we are experiencing strikes and there's no transport? Take for instance, we are having a problem with your poultry, and you need to get medicines, and you cannot even access the pharmacy. And again, in rural areas, we are having a problem with infrastructure. Our infrastructure is very unfavorable. Sometimes you find that even you need to access the farm, it is impossible because of the road. Maybe it's slippery, it's muddy, you know. So those are the problems we're really encountering in this case. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Ntombi. Don't go away, please. Carien, so in what David and Ntombi has described to us, and by the way, if there's anyone else that wants to come into the discussion around this too, please do so. Just raise your hand or switch on your camera and we can bring you in the discussion. Carien, if you can unmute, and well, hello, we'll bring you in now, but if Carien can sort of comment, you know, sort of what do we take away from this, you know, this example in terms of the kind of risks identification and how we can use that to make sure we serve our clients better?
The basic thing is every situation is going to be different. It doesn't matter really if you looked at the research or chicken farming itself. The principles are the same. Whatever we plan to do, we must always look at what can go wrong. And the things that can go wrong must go into a risk register, because we must go through problem-solving steps for anything that can go wrong and see what is the best option that we can use if this problem that we can identify happens. That is the principle of it in the end. It doesn't really matter what you look at, but whether you're a spaza shop owner or a farmer, or you've got a shebeen, it doesn't matter. What is the problems that you can encounter and what is your options to before they happen? What can you do to mitigate, to make sure that problems don't happen? And if it happens, what is your plan? That is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah. Pumza, does that make sense for you too?
Yeah, thank you, Christoph. I think it does make a lot of sense. But I think, firstly, maybe let me do a quick 5-second introduction. So I come from Kulisa Development Consultants, and our focus is on community development, township development, and rural development. And I think one of the things that I just wanted to mention is that what we are finding, especially with these kind of projects, is just how diverse they can be, you know, one from the other. And I think it then, you know, requires for one to have this more open-minded and flexible and adaptable look into how, you know, you engage with them. But I wanted to just mention that what we've also done is with our risk register, we also do one after mitigation. So we say, you know, if we're going to put these mitigation strategies in place, how do we think those are going to impact, you know, on those risks, you know, just for us to have an understanding of how we're going to approach them. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder. Yeah. There was some comments, Jabu and Sandile and Derek, you too, Abraham. If any of you want to speak, you can. Valhalla will. If you can switch on your camera, we asked you if you want to speak, you can unmute and speak now. And then Mina, I see you've got a comment too. Any of you would like to raise that in the meeting? A very important point that Jabu is raising is, Carien, that what you presented is very rich. And there's in fact a lot of detail there that was perhaps too swift for everyone to comprehend and apply. So while Jabu was saying it looks very relevant, it's kind of, it just happened, and what is the framework for us? So if we want to engage more, he says very relevant, sort of the content. If we want to engage more, what is a good way for us to go about in learning more about project management and the kind of tools that you mentioned here today for us to use?
Anybody is welcome to contact me. On the last slide, you will find my contact details. So that is an option. Also, if anybody struggles with anything here, and if there's a need for any of the specific tools that I used today and you want more, you are always welcome to invite me back, and I can focus on whatever of the tools you want more information on, so that it's a more focused approach than to run through the whole toolbox at once.
Perhaps there's scope for us to do a course on project management in the small business context, sort of.
Yeah,
so thank
absolutely.
you for reminding us about that. Do you want to speak, Jabu? I see you've got your hand raised. If you can unmute and switch on your camera. It will be the last comment, I think, before we move on. Jabu?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you, yes.
Oh, okay. I think for me, you can hear me. Okay. I think for me, as I was saying, the issue is critical. I've actually never had a presentation that tries to integrate project management and the whole challenge of developing SMEs. However, like you mentioned, I think it was too fast for me. I'm one of those adult learners who depends a lot on a very cautious and relevant delivery pitch. I don't know if that makes sense. Otherwise, the facilitator tends to talk to himself. But besides, I find the toolbox, the actual project management tools, has got a technical nature that you need to understand, in order to be able to use it. So the danger really that I'm trying to point out is that this is one of those things that sometimes our learners or SMEs or participants in such courses leave the course thinking they are stupid or they don't understand, blah, 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 not because of the topic, but because of the different mechanisms that we brought together to try and deliver the learning experiences. So I don't know if I was the only one who felt that, because, for example, in our group, we're not even sure how to go about using the tools. We started brainstorming and talking amongst ourselves, from the experiences that we have had in the past with reference to the business model that was presented in the case study. But I'm really keen to find out if, in this case, do we think a webinar does deliver? Do you think the time that was allocated does deliver? Because my fear is that if we don't discuss these things, people are going to leave these sessions thinking they are just not capable to deal with the topic, whereas it's not the topic because it's damn relevant, but it's how it was presented in the different exercises that were brought together to make sure we can enhance learning.
Perhaps it's a good time to bring Bonnie into the discussion too, Carien. So Bonnie, I must apologize as we start, because I was supposed to give you time as we started off the event, and I skipped over that item totally. Why do we have these webinars? And perhaps you can just address Jabu's concern there too. So what is this webinar series about, and how does it fit into the broader skills development of practitioners? So we've got an hour and a bit. It's really limited, Jabu, but I think your comments are really relevant, that we must aim to make it most meaningful and most impactful, but perhaps there's a broader context and other opportunities too. So Bonnie, if I can hand over to you, from SEDA's perspective. So Bonnie Bukel was official at SEDA, at the Learning Academy, and this webinar series is a partnership, is it not, Bonnie?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Look, what Jabu has raised is a point for consideration, depending on the topic and the approach that needs to be taken in delivering on a particular topic. But again, let me just get to my presentation on our partnership with IBASA, SEDA, and the EPI. The partnership is for us to assist the business development practitioners in terms of capacity building and also contribute towards their continuous professional development. And we are not only looking at delivering webinars, we're looking at also coming up with other training events in future. That is why I'm saying what Jabu is raising might be something that we need to consider to say which of these topics do we need to present on webinars, on which of those one need other mode of delivery. But having said that, the partnership is very, very geared towards the capacity building of business practitioners, so that at the end they can be in a position to get more information and knowledge, so that at the end they can assist the small enterprises. We've already delivered 3 sessions on webinars, and this one is the 4th one. But again, as to why have we now chosen to deliver this particular topic, that is in response to the call by the government that all those departments and institutions that are tasked with the responsibility of assisting the small enterprises should also not focus on other sectors and forget other sectors. That is why they've made a point that we respond to the needs of the businesses that are operating in rural areas and townships as well. And coupled with that is that we also need to focus on the sector specific delivery. That is, now we need to assist those who are operating in sectors like agriculture, clothing and textile, construction, ICT, tourism, and. So that is why we've chosen this particular topic to say we need to look at those areas so that we address what the government has tasked us to do as an institution, but we're doing this now in partnership with IBASA and EPI. We are investing in this process so that at the end, you as the business development practitioners are well capacitated in order to deliver efficient services to our small enterprises. But as Jabu have said, that they've come across such a challenge in grasping the particular topic. The topic is really interesting, but again, maybe the timing and also the time frame and also the delivery model needs to be reviewed by the partnership to say, maybe going forward, which of these topics do we have to look up and say we need to have webinars on, and which of these that we need to have some training on.
Yeah,
that's what
so maybe soon we can address Jabu's request, hopefully, and have a training program, not just a webinar on using project management principles in supporting entrepreneurs. Looking forward to that. So thanks, Bonnie. We've put on screen there, the next webinar topic is helping reluctant clients to use financial reports in solving business problems. We haven't finalized the panelists, so if there are any suggestions from our community and someone that can share with us insights in terms of how they manage, or if there is anyone in the room here today that would like to contribute in that way, please reach out to us. But next webinar.the-epi.org is the place for you to go to register so long for next month's event. It is a series of events, as Bonnie has highlighted for us. Bonnie, if you can keep your camera on, and Carien, if you can stay in the room too. I just want to bring Terence and Derek into the room. Terence, not Craig, is the chairperson of IBASA. And Derek and Javin. Derek, I never know which was your surname and which is your first name, but you can highlight that for us. But just to introduce Derek to the discussion here, Terence, if I can hand over to you for that, and then we can maybe just reflect on the topic and as well as news from the two organizations, SEDA and IBASA. But if, Terence, if I can just ask you to introduce to our community the new acting MD of IBASA.
Thanks, Christoph. Yes, it's a pleasure to introduce Derek. He is not unknown to IBASA. He served on the board previously. He runs his own practice of as a business practitioner. He is a lecturer. He is a mentor. He is the go-to person if you're a small business and need some help. He really is has got a wide range of skills. His passion is small business and helping them, and it's a pleasure to have him on board as our interim managing director. Derek, maybe you can tell us a bit more about what you have plans.
You just need to unmute, Derek. No, I can try to do it for you. There you are. You can speak. You can speak now.
Hi, Christoph, and thanks for this opportunity, and to everybody, to Bonnie from SEDA, and to Terence as our chair, and to Carien for the presentations today. And I must say that I feel very, very honored and excited at the same time, because of what Jabu has raised are part of our plans, and what Bonnie has indicated also. It's part of our plan to say, how do we move away from maybe one approach to all this. And I think you will all agree with me that Carien, actually what she has shared today, we need a platform that would be more of a training where there would be outcome-based training. She needs more time that we can have with her. So I believe that it's been relevant, because I think from our breakaway sessions, we realized that actually there are a lot of things that can still be done to source our own energy. We have windmills that can be solar powered, that can still be a source of energy and all that. But this one was triggered based on the presentation itself, and having to listen to say, how can we mitigate? Because whatever problem that we have as society, we don't look at how do we mitigate to the problem. So I think all the solutions of small businesses are based on what is the mitigating plan around that. So yeah, looking forward to more of the webinars, but like Bonnie said, and we are looking at how can we restructure or sort of deliver it and package it nicely to say, also have some form of hybrid approach where we can have others that could be in a different venue, and all at the same time we still have it operational and to the benefit. And what Jabu has raised, I believe that others will still be given opportunities through our platforms to raise, to make suggestions and contributions, so that we can make IBASA, we can make SEDA, we can make EPI, we can make all our partners, our stakeholders happy, in order to move forward and make sure that everybody, but the main thing we have to understand is that the ecosystem that we are serving, the communities that we are serving, are the ones that must be happy also as practitioners. So we have to go out there and make sure that it works for everybody. Thank you very much.
Right. No, thank you very much for setting that tone for us. I'm not sure if there are any other announcements from SEDA and IBASA at this point in time, but we do still have some time perhaps to reflect on the topic specifically. So while we have our expert in the room, sort of Carien, thank you very much again for your input, and but we still have a few minutes. So shall we quickly see, are there any other announcements from the two organizations, or can we delve back into the topic at hand yet?
I think we just like to reiterate and invite people who are on the webinar, on the Zoom meeting, that they're welcome to join IBASA. And if you need some more information about membership, to contact Derek. I'm sure he'll be able to give you all the information you need. But it would be good, because we are, as he said, we are here to serve the ecosystem of small business, and we can only do that with well-qualified and practical business practitioners that can serve those small businesses. So the invitation's there. As far as the topic goes, I was quite interested, and it was uplifting, the fact that we looked not at just the fact that what are the risks. One of the parts of that template that Carien gave us was not just what is the risk, but what is the probability of the risk. and the impact. And I think we often forget that. We just treat every risk the same, and they're not all the same for different businesses. So that is really interesting. Thanks, Carien.
But Bonnie, comments from you. Carien, will come to you just now too. And Derek, if you want to add to the topic of project management applied to the small business context, please feel welcome to do so too. Bonnie, first. We must just make sure that you're unmuted.
Okay.
You can speak now.
I just want to thank everybody who's attended this session, and also say that we are in the process of learning as well, that when we engage with people who'd like to get such feedback, so that when you go back to the to the drawing board, we come back and deliver what is gonna really make them feel that they've benefited from such sessions. But again, as the partnership, we see this session as being investment in human development, which is sustainable, because we believe that in the near future, this series that you are exposed to will assist you in offering the best and efficient services to our small enterprises. So we will say thank you once again.
Yeah, right. And there were 70 odd practitioners on this webinar here today. So are we making good progress in terms of us as a community of practitioners increasing our capacity to serve the needs of our clients? And just to iterate there what Terence was referring to, sort of we are professionals too. So to be part of a professional body is really an advantage. And also, of course, part of IBASA's membership means that we are certified or that we are graded, that we have a designation in the profession. So if you're not familiar with that, Terence and Derek, perhaps there is some opportunity for us in the next webinar to spend a few minutes on talking about what that grading is and so on, so that everyone in the community can understand what the benefits are of membership, which goes beyond just being able to say I'm a IBASA member, but also be acknowledged for your professional standing. So Derek, I'm not sure if you want to refer to that quickly before we go to Carien, or if there are any other points, Derek, regarding the theme of today too, for you to comment around.
Well, Christoph, thanks very much. I think for me, the theme of today was very relevant to the industry and was timelessly, because this is where we are at as small business, or as any other business, to say, how do we exit from the current situation? But also, without project management and planning, you cannot find a way out of the situation. So this is very key and very important. But also, it allows us to set up the timelines. On the side of IBASA, I've shared the contact, my email address, to say, if you want to become a member or there is any inquiry about IBASA, you send to admin. You can also attach my email, which is md@ibasa, so that it can come to my attention, so that I can speedily help in terms of processing and assisting you. Because we want to be customer-centric. We want to make sure that we deliver on time and all our members are happy and satisfied. But also the CPT side of things, we still have to work on that to say, how do we best do it so that everybody who attended, they know that they can still use these sessions. It's not just for to entertain or for time, but these sessions are very important to make sure that you can use this for your CPT, you can use it for any other platform. So yeah, we are working on that with SEDA, and we are working on that with EPI, and we believe that at the end of the day, it is about the happiness and the satisfaction of everybody that attends. Thank you very much.
And great thanks, Jabu and David and so on, for your input as well today. It's greatly appreciated. Carien, I think we're going to leave you to have the last word today. Again, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us, sort of the practical experience that you have. Based on what I take away, sort of is that university degrees and certificates are not just to put on the wall, but at least for us to apply in our daily work, so that is what I definitely take away from your ability to apply what you've learned in those programs in supporting entrepreneurs on the ground. But yeah, so if we would ask you, what perhaps as the kind of like final exclamation mark for your input here and for direction for us as practitioners in applying these principles to our work.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to participate today. Just for all that participate to give you an idea of what I presented here today was what I usually work on for at least a year with any of my clients. So it is no wonder that it's not possible to grasp anything, everything in 50 minutes. Thank you for the learning experience from my side as well. I've learned a lot. I didn't even realize that there was an organization doing these kind of webinars. And as I said, if I can assist in any way to anybody personally or whoever, you're always welcome to contact me. Thanks again.
Great. Thanks, Carien, and thanks, Pilate, Lucky, Naomi, Daryl, sort of for the comments there. If anyone wants to, well, let's do this, sort of we can ask everyone, can you switch on your cameras? We're going to end the meeting now. And if everyone can switch on their cameras, we can see everyone else in the room too. Maybe there's someone that you haven't seen for a while that you want to give a quick shout out to. We can do that too. Go on to gallery view, and then you'll be able to see everyone else in the room there. But let's share this to Zoom too. Then those that are on Zoom can also see who else is there. I think it should go to Zoom now. Here it does. Eric, Mamelo, Kumza, hi guys, JR, Louise, Mark, hi Mark. Yeah, so there some of us are brave enough to switch on your camera. Hi Enrico, nice seeing you. We live across town from each other, but never see each other in real life. Yeah, anyone that wants to give a shout out to anyone else's whose picture they see that they haven't seen for a while, you can do so quickly. We've got 1 minute, otherwise we're going to end the meeting. Lucky, anyone you see? Daniel, that you want to say hi to? No one? Okay, then we're going to end the meeting now. Nice seeing your faces at least. They didn't hear your voices. Stay well, guys. Have a good end of going into the end of the year, and looking forward to see you early in December for our last webinar of the year. Bye-bye, everyone. And thanks again, Carien.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.